Hello everyone, and welcome to week 2 of the grade 3 and 4 theory quiz. So I hope you've had a good week and you enjoyed the quiz last time, because we're going to go through the answers for last week's quiz first. So if you need to pause the video and go and find them, then do that, and we'll jump straight back into them. So the first question from last week was, what kind of clef is this? It is, of course, the alto clef. The alto C clef, if you're being really specific, because the tenor clef looks very similar, but is in just a slightly different place on the stave. Yeah, good.
Question number 2, what note is this? This is a C. So we are 2 octaves above middle C at this point, and we're in the ledger lines.
Yeah, and funnily enough, that's actually the top C of Allegri.
Is it?
Yeah, I can't really sing that high anymore. I used to be able to, a long time ago. Anyway, question number 3. What is the interval between these 2 notes? So this one's worth 2 marks. It is a major third, okay? So remember, when we're talking about intervals, we always got to reference ourselves from the bottom note that we've got. And that doesn't matter whether it's a harmonic interval or a melodic interval, it's the same. What is it here, Miss Morgan? Is it melodic or harmonic?
It is a melodic interval because they are one after the other, like in a melody.
Ah, I see. Very good. So that's a major third because A natural is in the scale of F major, and F is the bottom notes. Good.
Question number 4. The time signature of this bar is 6/8. So there should be a 6 and then 8 below because we've got 6 quavers in this bar.
And sorry, it's a bit deceptive. I've written it with a slash there. Remember, we don't actually use a slash when we're writing the time signature onto the stave, but I've just done that here to make it clear. Question number 5 was, in the key of G major, what scale degree is this note? Miss Morgan wrote this question and gave you a bit of a handy hint at the bottom, saying that G would be number 1. Yeah, so we can name our scale degrees just by using numbers. And so in G major, this note, which is a D, is scale degree number 5. Because if G is number 1, you just count up until you get to D.
So here we have the original question. So the first thing to look at is our time signature, and we are in 4/4, so 4 crotchet beats in this bar. And that means all of our beaming must be within 1 beat. So we can't have any beams going across beats. So we have to work from left to right. So starting, we have 2 quavers. Now a quaver is worth half a crotchet, and we've got 2 here, so 2 halves equals 1 whole, and these together form 1 beat. So these two, and our answer all needs to be beamed together. Next we have 1 crotchet, and it stands by itself, and so it can just be 1 beat by itself. Don't need to worry about that at all. Now we have 2 semiquavers. Now a semiquaver is worth a quarter of a crotchet. We have 2, so at the moment we only have half a beat. And next to it we have 2 quavers together. So we've got 2 quavers, so 2 halves, we have 1 whole here. But these semiquavers can't stand by themselves. They need to complete a beat. So what we have to do is split these 2 quavers up, and this quaver will now be beamed to these semiquavers. So we have 2 quarters, we have half here and another half, so together they make our 3rd beat, and finally for our 4th beat we need the other half of this beamed together quavers. We need this one and this standalone quaver at the end. So we've got 2 quavers by themselves. So our answer looks a bit like this. So our first beat, these 2, stems up, beamed across. Then we have 1 crotchet by itself. We have our 2 semiquavers and the quaver, only 1 quaver. So this looks like this. So now see how the stem goes in the other direction. And finally, just 2 quavers by themselves. So I've done this on plain paper so you can see you don't need manuscript paper to complete these questions. The notes don't matter. So give yourself a point for every beat you got right. So it should be 4 points in total for this question.
Question number 7. So this one had 2 parts. So what family of instruments does the bassoon belong to? And the second part was, what stringed instrument has a similar range? So the bassoon belongs to the woodwind family of instruments, and the cello has a similar range to the bassoon. They're both sort of bass instruments, we sometimes call them.
So question number 8, what is tr short for? And it's short for trill.
Yeah.
So if we were to play this, we would go really quickly between 2 notes as fast as we possibly could.
Question number 9. What major key has this key signature? So the key signature has 3 flats. We've got a treble clef, so it's E flat major. What would it be if it was minor, Miss Morgan?
It would be C minor.
C minor, yeah, because remember, every key signature has 2 keys, 1 major one and 1 minor one.
Okay, so question 10 is draw a crotchet rest. So a crotchet rest looks like this. So we need to draw a Z at a bit of an angle, then a C.
Question number 11. So the question was, what is the technical name of the 5th note in a scale? Okay, and another hint here, the first note in a scale is called the tonic. So the 5th note up is called the dominance. Yeah, tonic is 1, supertonic, mediant, subdominant, dominant, submediant, and leading notes. Don't worry if you didn't get that all now. We can spend a bit more time learning them all properly. But yeah, 5th is dominant. It's probably the second most important after tonic.
Question number 12, what does this symbol mean? Well, here we've got 2 flats next to each other. So this is a double flat. And the bonus question is a double sharp. So the double sharp's a bit rogue, it's a bit weird, but it's just one you have to know. But double flat is very much say what you see.
Yeah, and it does what it says as well. It just means flatten it sort of twice. You just do what you normally do when you have a flat and repeat it. So instead of just going down 1 semitone, it goes down 2, or a whole tone. Question number 13. So it's similar vein, actually. What happens when there are 2 dots after a note? We call them double dotted notes. And so remember, when we have a normal dotted note, we take the original value and then we add half of that. Well, with double dotted notes, we take the original, we add half, and then we add a quarter of the original, or half of a half. And so we end up with a note that's longer than the original note, and longer than a dotted note, but shorter than 2 lots of that note, if that makes sense. It's a little bit mathsy, so don't worry if you don't quite get it 100%, but that's the principle.
Question number 14, what does 9/8 mean? Well, it means 9 quavers in the bar, but 3 dotted crotchet beats. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 1, 2, 3. But each beat feels like it's a triplet. Yeah,
and so this kind of time signature where we're splitting our bar into dotted crotchet beats, it's called a compound time signature. And the opposite of that is a simple time signature when we just have regular crotchet beats. So, question 15, it was a listening question. And the question was, what language is the extract in? With a bonus point if you could identify it. It was, of course, the first movement of Monteverdi's Vespers, and so the language was Latin. Deus in adjutorium meum intende. Very good.
So the whole quiz was out of 22. So you needed, there were 2 points for the instrument question, 4 points for the beaming, and another 2 points for the listening extracts and the double flats and double sharps. So basically you've got all the points you can have, and keep a tally of what you have.
Yeah, because you never know, there might be a prize if you do really well. And just a little interjection, if you have something specific you'd like us to cover, then you can get an adult to send us an email. We've set up an email address. that you can use for your music theory queries, and it's musictheoryqueries@gmail.com. So if you want to have a little bit of advice, or I've got a specific question that you want explaining, or have a request for a future video, then do get in touch with us here, and we'll be more than happy to help. Good.
So
Okay.
on to this week's quiz. So new piece of paper. Let's go. Question number 1. What minor key signature has 3 sharps? So remember, we can find the major and go down a minor third to try and find it, or we can just try and remember it from a list, whichever way you find easier.
Your circle of fifths would be very helpful here as well. Make sure you've got a copy of that up on your wall somewhere. Question number 2. Which interval is wider, a perfect fifth or an augmented fifth? Okay, so a wider interval has more semitones between it. So which one is wider here? Is it the perfect fifth or the augmented fifth?
Question number 3. Which form of the minor scale is the same both ascending and descending? Is it A, harmonic, or B, melodic? So try and remember which scale changes on its way down, because it's only one of them. That's your hint.
Question number 4. So for this one, you've got to draw a stave or just find some manuscript paper. But I want you to write this note in the bass clef. So here we've got it in the treble clef. And you probably know which note it is. It has a sort of special name. But whereabouts do we find that note in the bass clef? Same note, just written slightly differently.
Question number 5. What do the responses, psalms, Magnificat, and Nunc Dimittis all have in common? Think about the words, think about the music, think about anything which they all contain.
Interesting question, that one. I had to spend a bit of time working it out. Question number 6. So explain how the time signatures of 2/4 and 6/8 are similar. So this one is to do with simple time signatures and compound time signatures and what those both mean. So how are these ones similar?
Question number 7. What is the technical name of the 7th scale degree? So as in the last quiz, we had the dominant for number 5. What is the 7th scale degree?
Question number 8. So we've got another key signature here. It's a major key signature, major key we want this time. So what major key has this key signature? So say what you see, count how many there are. Yeah, major key, this one.
Question number 9. How many scale degrees are there? So think carefully. Try and count it on your fingers.
Question number 10. So when describing time signatures, what does simple mean? Okay, we've already spoken about this. So what does simple mean when we're talking about time signatures? Something to do with beats and beat divisions and that kind of thing.
Question number 11. True or false? A G sharp sounds the same as an A flat. So maybe think about a piano. Think about how you'd play both of these notes, and do they sound the same?
Question number, I've just realized the number doesn't change. So we've got one extra question. So this is question number 12 of 16. So true or false? An E sharp sounds the same as an F flat. So remember the last question that we had, G sharp and A flat, and whether they're the same. E sharp, does that sound the same as an F flat? This question might be a trick question. So think really, really carefully about it. Think what E sharp, where does that take you to on the piano? Where does F flat take you to on the piano? Is that true or false?
Question number 13. Name 3 families of orchestral instruments. So there are more than 3, so this question is worth 3 points. So any families.
Question number 14. So what is this called? Okay, so there's one word. It begins with D, and that describes what this is. So we've got some notes. We've got a bit of square brackets, and we've got a number. What's going on? What do we call it?
And question 15. How do we change a major scale into a harmonic minor scale? There's one thing that we have to do. Maybe it's an accidental, maybe it's something else. But we do something to one of the notes that makes it into a minor scale, a harmonic minor scale.
This question is linked to scale degrees as well. So think about how many scale degrees there are. Okay, and then this one is question 16. What is the key signature of F minor? What's the key signature of F minor? So remember, every key signature has both a major key and a minor key. So if you need to, think about what the relative major of F minor is, if you're more familiar with the major key signatures. But you don't need to draw it, you can just write down what we've got and how many there are.
Right, so that is the end of this quiz. So thank you for watching. And if you've got any questions, then get an adult to email this email address. And good luck. And keep a hold of your papers for next week. So bye-bye, Mr Morrell.
Bye, Mr Morgan. See you next week.